By then, Philadelphia food not bombs was, if it hadn't started the year before, it definitely started in 1989. So then we find out that San Francisco has been chosen to be the official city to celebrate the 500th anniversary of Columbus discovering the New World. And so it turns out that Native Americans don't really like that, and so they decide they're going to have a big protest in San Francisco on October 12, 1992. And it turns out the publishing company here in Philadelphia, New Society Press, had seen the flyers, 7 steps starting Funabons, and they thought it would be a great idea to have a book called Funabons, How to Feed the Hungry and Build Community. So they helped us work on that, and that was going to come out in October of '92 also. So we sent out a letter to all the Funabons people we could, and asked them if they would be have any objections to having a Funabons gathering in the 2 days before the quincentennial protest. And everybody, no one objected. So we have this, we meet for 2 days at Cauliflower Collective in the Mission, and we decided we should figure out what are the principles of Funabons. So we decided that there'd be 3 principles, because we had just kind of randomly been doing this for from '88 to this time, and so it made sense. We have more chairs if you want to come in.
Yeah, I'll just listen.
Okay.
There's also food in the back.
Yeah, we got lots of great food. So anyway, so in fact, from the point of view of food, the next thing you can put in is tahini into your tofu spread. So, so then anyway, while about 70 people came, and people told stories about their local Funabons chapters, and kind of gave a little report, and then we decided on the 3 principles. And the principle that we decided on is that the food would always be free without restriction to anybody, rich or poor, drunk or sober, and that the food would always be vegan or vegetarian. Then we also decided that there would be no leaders or presidents or headquarters, that every chapter would be autonomous and use the consensus process to make decisions, and that we'd actively invite the people eating with us to attend our meetings and help us decide the direction of our local Funabons group. And that the 3rd principle would be that we're dedicated to nonviolence, that we would not be a charity, but that we would seek to change society using nonviolent direct action to change it so no one would have to stand in line to eat in a soup kitchen or live in the streets. And then after that, we made a bunch of food. We went to Aquatic Park where Columbus was scheduled to land. This time, the Native Americans decided to push Columbus back out in San Francisco Bay. So they thought it was enough. And some of the people went to the Columbus Avenue Parade. They stole the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and they were chased through the streets by the Italian American Association. And then we had a big party, and we got books and stuff to everybody, and more Funabons chapters started up. And so then the mayor, or the chief of police, decided he'd run on the anti-homeless ticket. Said if he's elected mayor, he'll round up all the homeless people, he'll put them in the work camps south of the city, he'll put a little sign over the entrance saying works will make you free, and he gets elected. So he starts this program called Quality of Life Enforcement Matrix Program. And he gets 2 airplanes from the Justice Department with thermal imaging devices that can fly up and down the streets and see the body coming up at night to know where there's congregations of homeless people. And so we borrow a video camera from the American Civil Liberties Union because we figured we're probably going to see some crazy matrix stuff happen, and sure enough we do. And so we're videotaping when the police come in with their special anti-homeless motorcycles. They ring the homeless around right next to where they're waiting to eat. They order everybody to take their shoes off, throw them in the garbage trucks. They take everybody's sleeping bags, blankets, and backpacks. Animal control comes, take everyone's pets away. They arrest a couple of people. They declare a few people mentally ill, take them off to the San Francisco General Hospital psych ward. And we even get video of a grandmother fighting to save her scrapbook from the police of her grandchildren. And eventually they rip it from her arms, and she's hysterical. And we give that video to all the TV companies in the Bay Area. And Channel 2 in Oakland airs it. And the mayor is furious and makes his matrix program look inhumane. So he goes to the city attorney, Louise Rennie, and he gets a court order against us serving food without a permit. And he tells the Parks Department to abolish the permit process. So now we start getting arrested for felony conspiracy to serve food in violation of a court order. And so we divide the food back into thirds again. We restart risk arrest 1 day a month with food not bombs. And we're going about this every day, getting arrested. And now they have a special anti-food not bomb squad that beats us up. So we even have a video called Food Not Bomb's Greatest Hits. Which we get. And so then we get a letter from Michael Stoops in at the National Coalition for the Homeless in Washington, D.C. They're going to do another big protest on Thanksgiving called Housing Now. And a bunch of the people eating with us were telling us stories that they had been living in a single-room occupancy hotel across from this shelter, Glide Memorial Church, and that they'd been kicked out because the owner was going to make it, instead of a $20 a night hotel, into a $300 a night luxury hotel. So, which seemed to not make much sense across from the largest soup kitchen in town, but that's what they're going to do. So anyway, we decided that we would sneak into that hotel the night before because we knew the mayor would come to the soup kitchen on Thanksgiving morning and cut turkey and get his picture taken, putting a slice of turkey on a homeless person's plate, as he did every year, and as most mayors do. And so when the mayor arrives, we hang banners out the windows, and one of the banners says, "Homes Not Jails." And this gives us the idea. At that time, it's sort of like the housing foreclosure crisis was called the savings and loan crisis. And so what we decided to do is ride our bikes around the city, and whenever we saw an empty house, we'd write the address down, we'd go to the tax office at City Hall, and we'd try to figure out who owned it. And if it was just a family that couldn't keep up the building, we'd ignored it. But in most cases, it was a bunch of banks suing each other over the ownership of the mortgages. So if that was the case, we would go and take the old locks off and put our own locks on the buildings. And then at dinner, we'd make an announcement. Does anybody here want a free place to live? You would be surprised how many homeless people want a free house. It's like so popular. So we'd say, meet us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at this address, and we'll give you a free house. And so we'd arrive, we'd have the key, we'd open the door, we'd let the families in. The neighbors would go, "Oh, that's so nice, they're finally renting that old place down the street." And we'd paint the front of the building, clean it up and everything. And according to the book No Trespassing, we had keys to 400 buildings, and we had people living in between 100 and 200 of those buildings at any time. So then also we worked with this people, Sister Bertie Galvin and others, to read the names of all the homeless people who had died on the streets of San Francisco. And most of the people were dying of hypothermia in San Francisco, unprepared for how cold it really is. Mark Twain said the coldest winter he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. And so we called up the media, and I called up some of the radio stations. They say, "We can't take phone calls from Food Not Bombs. That would be aiding and abetting in a felony." So we realized we were being totally whited out by the media, and we decided we start our own media. And we had a friend, Stephen Dunford, that knew how to make FM radio transmitters, so we made Free Radio Berkeley and San Francisco Liberation Radio. So on January 1st of 94, we're up on top of Twin Peaks in San Francisco in this camper, this Toyota camper that we had. And we're like, had just received an email that morning from a group called the Zapatistas. And they wanted us to read why they were having an uprising in Chiapas against the North American Free Trade Agreement. So we're very excited about that. We're reading about it. And then we notice a lot of police are starting to park behind us. So we take the mixer and the mic, we put it under the table, we get out a bowl of crackers and some hummus, we light a little candle, the cops look in, and we go, Happy New Year's, we're just celebrating, and they're like, okay, and then they leave, we put the mixer back out, okay, yeah, and start reading about the Zapatistas. And then, so, the next day, we're down in front of the City Hall, we got this big sign saying, Viva Zapatista, no NAFTA, I'm wearing this chef hat and this chef coat, and this guy comes out of City Hall and he's got a cell phone, which we had not really seen before, and miraculously calls a tow truck up to have us towed. So I go into City Hall to a payphone, and I'm talking to the tow lady, and all of a sudden that guy shows up, starts smashing me against the wall in the phone booth. And I go, I'm sorry, tow lady, there's a man smashing against the wall here. Well, I have a call from another phone. So I go upstairs and I finish securing the vehicle. And I come down, there's these nice businessmen standing at the first floor of City Hall, and they, hey Keith, we want to talk to you. And I go over, and they have this little pamphlet, and they go, oh, you're under arrest for assault, battery, strong-arm robbery, and that's a strike under the new California 3 strikes law. And they go, wow, that's a little hardcore. And so they take me away, and my bail's only $10,000, only takes a week or so to get out. By now, Howard Zinn, the professor from Boston University, had suggested that we try to get federal marshals to come and protect us from the San Francisco police as it happened in the freedom marches in the 60s. And so we had compiled all this documentation, including wiretap memos of my home phone and internal police memos and the greatest hits video and all this stuff, and we had sent it to the Justice Department, Bill Clinton's Justice Department, asking for support. And we also sent this documentation to Amnesty International and the UN Human Rights Commission. Well, the Clinton administration sent us this nice letter saying they reviewed everything, they conceded that the San Francisco police are doing nothing illegal, they continue with their meetings and their worthless wiretapping, and everything's cool. So we give that letter to Amnesty and the UN, and they say, well, okay, looks like you tried everything, we're going to declare you prisoners of conscience if you're convicted. So we're so proud of our letter from Amnesty, and we're going through City Hall before a city supervisor meeting, and this one politician just hates Fugna bombs, and she slammed the door really hard on me and my friend Jesse, and the glass broke out and cut my hand. And so I go to my truck to go to the hospital where I get arrested again. This time I get charged with my second strike, assault with a deadly weapon. The witness who was in San Diego that day said I was trying to kill her with a piece of glass. And then they said I got my third strike, which is possession of stolen property. They claimed because of that I stole 24 Berkeley Farms dairy milk crates, which we borrow from a vegetarian restaurant near City Hall every day for our table, since the police took our equipment every day. So now I'm facing 25 to life. My bail's like $250,000. Eventually we get it down to just $75,000. And then finally I get to go to trial, and the first day of my trial is the same as the first day of the first O.J. Simpson trial, which is why you probably never heard this. So, then, a lot of people show up anyway, and the judge is like, oh, it's too much chaos here. He asks the clerk for another date, and the clerk says, well, October 31st is free. So we come down to City Hall, or to the courthouse, and it turns out there's little bowls of trick-or-treat candy all throughout the courthouse. So the supporters get some of the trick-or-treat candy, they go out in front of the courthouse, they hand it out, and they get arrested. The judge is like, this is just too much chaos, we need another day. So they choose another day. Well, February 14th is free. So we come down, now there's Valentine's candy in all these bowls. People go in front of the courthouse, hand that out, and get arrested. And the judge is like, okay, we're going to move you to Judge Lucy McKay tomorrow morning. We can't deal with this anymore. So we go to her courtroom, and sure enough, as my lawyer suggested, she was already drunk at 9 o'clock. And he's like, why are they bothering a good Irish boy like you? That's really crazy. Because what we'll do is we'll drop all 47 felony conspiracy to serve free food charges. We'll give you credit for 500 days, credit for time served. We'll just convict you of some kind of felony so that the mayor can go to cocktail parties and say McHenry's a felon, and you can write your own probation. So, I write my own probation. I'm not allowed to kill anyone or bomb any buildings for 12 months. Around this time, we find out that the mayor is going to dedicate a monument to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at UN Plaza, where we're currently being arrested twice a day. And he has to step up the arrest because you can't have people sharing free food and expressing their human rights while you're dedicating a monument to human rights. So we decided that we have a second bombs gathering. And we decided that we would have it for 10 days, ending on the day of the commemoration of the monument, which is the 50th anniversary of the founding of the UN, June 24th of 1995. And so we rent a convergence space near there.